Today we've got questions on sweets, on biscuits, and cookies. Thanks for joining us today on Questions and Answers with James Townsend and Son. I got so many great questions this week. Thank you so much for giving us your great questions in the comments. The first one comes from Jan Penlin. She says, my grandmother called them, she's talking about these sugar wafers that we just did in this cooking episode. She called them drop cookies. She only made them on rare occasions. Now I know why. Definitely. If you've got to whisk those things for an hour, you're not going to be making them every week, let me tell you. And I'm sure that was very true in the time period also, except that these kinds of cookies and biscuits were available commercially. Sometimes something very similar in the time period was called a Naples Biscuit. And those were made, and you could buy them at a corner store, just like we do today. Donna M. Schmid says, okay, fess up. You beat the batter for 5 minutes, and then you made Josh and Kevin beat it for the rest of the time, didn't you? Well, actually, I made Ivy do it all the rest of that time. Her arms were just huge when she got done. Bobby Harper, he's again on the Sugar Wafers episode. I'm thinking the high-speed mixer would accomplish the aeration in a fraction of the time. Well, we thought the same thing. We said, hey, we're going to set this mixer on high for 15 minutes, and guess what? It didn't turn out the same. They came out flat. So the time does seem to make a difference. If you've got different results, if you've figured out a way to do it in 15 minutes, make sure to give us your good ideas down in the comments section. Again, on the Sugar Wafer episode, Dash N64 says, why do you say adding vanilla was a very modern ingredient? Was it not used in the 1700s? I Googled that vanilla is native to Mexico. I would have thought the Americas would have used vanilla in cooking all throughout history. So vanilla is mentioned in the 18th century and even in the 17th century, but almost always in the context of chocolate and in medicine. So you'll see it in medical books, and you'll see it where they actually used it to flavor chocolate, but not in the cookbooks at all. In fact, you don't see that until the 19th century, and you really don't even see it until after 1850. So isn't that interesting? We use vanilla in so many things today, and they hardly used it at all in the 18th century. Another one on the same video, this is Fancy Derb. He says, looks good. Were sweets very common in 1700s America, or were they a treat for the average person that they would only have every once in a while, maybe a holiday or at a special occasion? I think that sweets, I won't necessarily talk for North America as much as I will for the things you see in English cookbooks, but sweets are going to be very common for rich people, definitely. You see massive banquets with huge iced cakes and special sugar figures and all kinds of sugary treats. Undoubtedly, for the regular person, that's going to be much rarer. They did have chocolate as a breakfast drink, and that was actually a fairly common thing even for average or lower middle class people. So chocolate is something that you would see, but sweets probably not so much. This question is on the chocolate biscuit episode that I did with Ivy probably almost a year ago. Keith Marsteller says, none of the stores around here carry any of the chocolate that you mentioned to use. Could one use a dark chocolate and add cinnamon? And it says, keep up with the great videos. We do offer the chocolate that we mentioned on our website. So if you want to order that, I'll put a link down in the description section. And you could use a regular dark baker's chocolate. That is going to work fine in this recipe. And Keith Marsteller has another question. It's from a Q&A that we did a while back. He says, I was trying to do some research on brown sugar, but I couldn't find anything. My question is, did they use brown sugar, or is brown sugar from a later time period? You do find references to brown sugars in 18th century English cookbooks. Occasionally they will use the term brown sugar. Many times they'll use turbinado sugar or muscovado sugar in their recipe. Those are various different kinds of less refined sugars. They may not be, completely as raw as we might think, but definitely in that brown sugar category. But for the most part, most of the recipes do actually call for, when they call for sugar, they mean a white sugar. Occasionally they'll talk about different types of white sugar, like loaf sugars or caster sugars. But usually if it just says sugar, white sugar is what you want to use. You still have time. If you're interested in finding gift ideas for Christmas, on our website, we have a lot of great things that work for gift ideas for folks that are interested in history, or even if they're not, there's some really neat products. So make sure to check out our website. Make sure to check out Monday's episode that's coming up. We're going to be doing a very interesting cheesy episode, so make sure to watch on Monday. So we've been doing the interview videos the last several weeks. We've been putting them out on Tuesdays. If you haven't watched those interviews, I would suggest you go back. They are very interesting. But what I'd like to know from you is whether or not there are any questions that you are interested that we haven't been asking. So if you've got ideas for questions and interviews, please give them in the comments section below. I really want to thank everyone for your great comments and your wonderful questions. That is really helpful and very encouraging. All your feedback is wonderful. Thank you so much for that, and thanks for watching. If you're a new viewer and you haven't subscribed, press the subscribe button up here. That'll take you to a spot where you can subscribe. That really is the best way to get notification of all the new videos that are out. I want to thank everyone for watching.